Ever since I was a little kid, I've always loved to draw. I would ask for notebooks for Christmas just because I would always run out. Anything that I thought was cool, I would draw it. And one of those things was Spider-Man. Of course, with a character like Spider-Man, countless comic artists interpret the character differently, so I was constantly exposed to different ways of drawing him. Fast forward a while and here we are. I draw Spider-Man almost every day, whether it be traditional or digital art. I even made my own Spider-Man show, which you should go check out if you haven't. Recently, I've been asked a lot how I do it, so here's how to draw Spider-Man. Remember, this video is not for you to copy my art style, it's just to show you how to draw Spider-Man in general. This is a gateway to learning your own art style. Of course, there's nothing wrong with mimicking someone's style in fan art, as I do that all the time, but eventually you have to find your own style. As you draw Spider-Man more and more, you'll find certain things that just click. Maybe it's messy webs, maybe it's big eyes, grungy brushes, whatever it may be, it will contribute to your style. So with that in mind, let's begin. First is drawing the base. As any artist drawing a human should, we start with a circle. This helps us get the shape of his head. Then we use the circle to guide the lines we draw to form the chin. These lines here will tell us what direction he's facing. It's very important. Of course, then there's the neck, shoulders, and chest. Remember those lines in the head? Try putting them in the chest too. I don't really see anyone do this, which is kind of weird since it really helps understanding the angle he's posing in, kind of like his head. In my style, his shoulders are kind of blocky, so after the shoulders we move on to the arms. And of course, the hands. Hands are one of the most difficult things to draw. It took me a long time to get them even somewhat right. Looking up hands in the pose you want, or even using your own hand as a reference, is a great help with hands. I don't really think I need to walk you through the rest of the base, as you're just figuring out what pose you want. Whether you're drawing a skinny Spidey or a hunky Spidey, getting the anatomy right is really important. Of course, lots of things can be exaggerated, but there's a fine line between exaggeration and flat-out unrealistic proportions. You should have your base done now, so let's work on line art. As you might have noticed, my drawing software, Adobe Illustrator, isn't like traditional art programs. It's vector-based, which basically means a lot of rules from most art programs don't apply. So if you're wondering why I keep closing off shapes in weird places, that's because I have to fill them in later. And with vector-based shapes, you can't fill something in until it's a closed shape. This is also why for the line art I'm using the pen tool, which basically lets you control the rotation and angle of the stroke very precisely. There's not really too much to say about line art. One thing you should know is that this is an opportunity to fix certain things from your base in the line art, like certain parts of anatomy that you didn't think you got right. After this, we should be ready for coloring. Of course, this will be different depending on which version of Spider-Man you're drawing. Whether it be the Amazing Spider-Man, Ultimate Spider-Man, Sensational, or something completely different. I'm not going to talk about that one. I'm drawing the classic suit, so I'll stick with a bright red and blue. Something I think can help elevate your style is the way you color things. Like for instance, I like giving my reds a little hint of pink. This makes it pop out more to me. After you're done coloring, we can move on to the webs. These can be pretty tedious, but patience is the key. Whether it's spaced out webbing or messy webbing, these can be used to help with perspective, like when they bend around his muscles or line the spider emblem. Speaking of which, this is a really important part of the suit. Use your favorite emblem, or maybe just make your own. Next is shading. This is the final step. Of course, you can use black to shade the blue parts like in the comics, or just whatever darker shade of blue you want. It's up to you. Shading is kind of hard to explain, it's just something you need to think really hard about. My shading isn't perfect, but what helped me in the beginning was first to identify a light source, and then draw where it's actually pointing. This can give you an idea of where it's going to go, to tell you where to put highlights and where to put shadows. After this, you're done. While some of you might be proud of your work, some aren't, and that's okay. It's not always going to be perfect. I mean, look at this drawing of mine from 2 years ago. Yikes. But the more you keep trying, the more you'll improve. So that's how to draw Spider-Man. Now you see why making an animated show by yourself takes so long? If you have any tips or tricks or anything like that, feel free to leave them down in the comments. This can help me and a lot of other people to draw their best. Anyways, thanks for watching, subscribe, and have a super blessed day.